You're known professionally as a two times founder, right?
Define professionally.
But technically, shouldn't that be like three-time founder?
We became a band and we started writing music. So that was my first company. We built products, we negotiated contracts because we had someone wanted to sign us. So we negotiated that, negotiated with venues to get paid for the gigs we played. And that kind of happened to take off because within about a year, we were playing gigs with thousands of people attending, maybe 1,000 people. We were OG influencers as well. We had about 10,000 or 12,000 followers on Facebook back in like 2010, right? So like OG influencers. And like, I mean, this was in India. Very few people were even on Facebook, but we had a big chunk. Startups are not too different from artists. Focus on the emotion, and as long as you solve that emotion, you'll be fine. And I actually also learned that the hard way from my second startup, Post the Band, which was actually an app that lets you listen to music with your friends. Same song, same time. Think of Spotify shared listening, but we did that in 2015. We thought we were solving the problem of music discovery, but in practice, we were solving the problem of loneliness. And we kind of blew up a little bit. We were getting a few thousand downloads a week. It found its niche. And VCs got interested. They're like, hey, we want to invest this. What's your problem? We said, oh, people want to discover new music. So this allows friends to send track recommendations. We framed it that way and it fell flat. That's at the cognitive level, but really deep down, they were using it because they felt lonely and they felt less lonely when they were sharing some experience with their friend. And we got an email once from someone saying, hey, you know what? You helped save me and my boyfriend from breaking up. Primary use case actually for us was long distance couples. So the biggest takeaway is I would look at products as, hey, what is the emotional problem that is solved? What are you really selling to your users?
Who was the first person to genuinely care about what you're building besides you?
Well, my co-founder, but also I come from a family of doctors. My sister and my dad both came to me. They're like, hey, if you can use software to detect faces, why can't you use software to detect disease? It's ultimately just image analysis, the same, right? Well, I learned that it's not the same. It's actually much harder to detect disease than recognize a face, technically speaking, but they cared about the problem, right? And that's how, and then I had a great co-founder who's so technically advanced that he could actually build the tech to do it. But yeah, like my dad and my sister cared a lot about this problem.
I love that. It's almost like they were the first to care about the problem and they cared so much that it brought you into the story.
Oh yeah, 100%. What our device allowed anyone, including a pharmacist, to now diagnose eye disease. Before our device existed, doctors like GPs or diabetes doctors would refer the patient to an eye specialist. In Europe, the eye specialist wait time is 12 months. In India, 70% of the time there's a drop off because all the eye specialists are in the big cities, but 80% of India's population do not live in the big cities. So we built a device that's about this big, and you point it at someone's eye, it more or less scans that eye. It's a little manual and mostly automatic. And then you tap a button and we have some algorithms that run on the scans and then tell you if you're going to go blind. We pick up diabetic retinopathy, diabetes-induced blindness, glaucoma, and AMD. 95% of blindness is because of these three diseases, permanent blindness, right? You have cataracts and stuff like that can be solved with a 10-minute surgery, but permanent blindness, these three. Our device helps you pick that up.
So a few years ago, you built something quietly that actually beat Google to market. What made that possible?
Actually, there are a few different misconceptions I want to clear up. It wasn't beating Google to market. We actually kicked their ass. To be honest, Google was the easiest competitor for us to beat compared to other companies out there who were other startups we didn't know about. Just because Google are bogged down by bureaucracy, there's a lot of infighting between different departments in Google. The smartest people don't go work in Google anymore. They either start their own companies or they go to an OpenAI. So people perceive, oh, Google are really huge, so they must have the smartest people. No, it's where the smartest people go to not work and still get paid a lot of money. They're being utilized at 20%. The smart and ambitious people go somewhere else. That said, let's go to what actually failed. One, we were much faster because we don't need approvals. We knew how to get a whole bunch of data really quickly that Google did not want to get. Google would operate based on US healthcare laws. In India, we just said, look, we want to do right by the patient. Don't give us their names. Don't give us any identification information. But an image, and whether the image has disease or not, completely anonymized, puts the patient at no risk. That allows us to get a much nicer data set that goes into training. So we knew that, we're like, look, we don't care if our product is not 100% accurate. We care that it's actually accurate where it matters on the field. Startups have nothing to lose. We had nothing to lose, so we just went ahead. Google went, oh, if we work with that kind of data, our accuracy is not going to be 99% and we will look bad. How can the best engineers have an accuracy of only 90%. It's healthcare. In India, for example, some of our users haven't graduated high schools. The doctor has hired a technician, pays him like $100 a month. The guy does not have a high school degree, has no other jobs, and that person can use our device and does eye screening. And if the quality of the scan is not as good, there will be drops in that accuracy. We worked exclusively on those cases, and we said we'll try our best to make it work. But it's okay if it's not 99%. But that's where the real use case is. We ended at around 92. That's where our current product is today. Google's papers still say 99. But in practice, when it was actually deployed, it rejected like 40% of images or something like that. I don't know the exact number, but it just rejects so many because the real quality of images does not meet Google standards. It makes for a great headline, but the truth is it's not really hard to beat Google if you're a smart, ambitious founder.
It's almost like Google was their own competitor.
Oh, yeah.
And you only had to fight one Google.
Yeah.
That's so crazy, man. I actually had no idea.
Why I got started and why I'm doing this today is very different. Why I got started was I wanted to feel important, right? And I guess it stems from some kind of insecurity that I had before I started this company, but we didn't know how to make money from it. So we shut it down. And I already felt very insecure about that. I also wanted to feel more important. So there's a bit of an ego thing that comes in, like, oh, I'm helping prevent blindness, and people are not going blind because of me. That got me started. And then after a while, what kept me going was, okay, I'm in this now and I've raised funding, and if I quit, I'll look like an idiot. Right? It was really hard. There were many times I wanted to quit. So then again, it was ego, right? It was, oh, I don't want to look like an idiot, right? I've done this and I've told people I'm going to end blindness. And that kept me going. Fast forward to today, where it's been now 8 years since I've been doing this. I think the reason of preventing blindness is much more true. Things that tend to be ego-driven tend to kind of fade away rather quickly because your ego is never satisfied. You get one thing, then your ego chases the next one, and it chases the next one. But I think I found out last year that, hey, you know what? 80,000 people didn't go blind because of the product we built. And I met some of the patients who've been screened by this, and I met some of the doctors using our device. And I was like, oh, wow, it actually made a difference. These were 80,000 people who would not have gotten eye care if our device had not existed. When you meet them and they're like, wow, you saved my life because of you, it changes this. I was like, wow, like it actually has an impact. Because until then, it was a story. Another part of it is the technical challenges are a lot of fun. It's like, it's not easy to do what we did. And I guess it's my autism, right? Like a little bit of autism like makes me obsessed with solving a problem that's hard to solve, and then I kind of get stuck onto that. I don't think the ego part is fully out, though. I think there's a part of it that is still ego-driven somewhere there. I don't think it's gone. But it's less so than when I first got started, where it was all about that insecurity driving me. Right?
Yeah, I think that's hard to be honest about.
I just realized that to get what my ego truly wanted, I really had to care. So I learned how to really care about people along the way. Because anything else that's not sincere is very short-lived, or people sniff the bullshit, right? So along the way, if I was doing stuff just to look good, and there were people who did the same thing we were doing just to look good, and they all fizzled out. And while I started with wanting to feel important, along the way, I learned that really caring about it is the only way to have long-term sustained importance. But just keep genuinely caring long enough, again and again, and it builds into something much more sustainable and long-term.
What emotion are you solving for today?
That's a very good question, and it depends on who. If I was pitching this to a patient, I would say, hey, you can see, you want to spend time with your grandchildren, you want to be able to see your loved ones. There is an emotional aspect to just life and experiencing life. There is an emotional aspect to being able to see color. For doctors, very interestingly, we tried the cognitive route and it didn't work as well, because we would tell doctors, hey, with our device, you can now do all these tests. You make more money than you previously did. It worked to a certain degree, but they'd also be like, I have enough money, I'm a doctor, it's too much work for me to do this. But then we found the niche group of doctors who were in it not for the money, but they really cared about their patients. Right? The ones who were like, I'm really sad that my patients are going blind. They were in this for the most altruistic of reasons. And the second they bought that, then we went to the first group I told you about who said, I have enough money, I don't need it. We told them, hey, you know what? The guy down the road has it. and you're now going to lose business to him because he provides better care. And they were like, holy shit. And then fear kicks in, right? I don't want to lose my patients. And then they start buying it as well. Ultimately, the reason they buy it is not because we're solving the problem of money. The reason they're buying it is because they're scared. So there's still emotions underlying that. You know what I mean?